It's like, I just got done working. The last thing I want to do is do more work. I've definitely just decided to check out in the middle of the day. 11 o'clock hits and I'm just like, we're getting really close to noon, and noon is a lunch hour, and that's an acceptable time to drink because I'm an adult and I can do whatever I want. All right, welcome back to Getting Sober, again. My name is Jay, and today we're gonna talk about something that plagues all of us, which is, what are you avoiding by using alcohol? But first, make sure that you are subscribed to this channel and make sure to leave a comment for either me or for somebody else in our community down below. And at some point, give this video a thumbs up. All right, let's get started with today's topic. What are you avoiding by using alcohol? Comment below. I know that for a lot of us, alcohol becomes that easy button. Alcohol is just always, it's the go-to solution. It's the easiest thing that we can do to get a very quick dopamine release. And that's the danger of alcohol, because you're guaranteed at least one of those dopamine releases every day. And then we're not necessarily guaranteed a dopamine release by going to work, unless you do a really good job and somebody acknowledges it, which is like once every, I don't know what, month or 3 months, or maybe never at all. Maybe you never get employee of the month. Maybe you never get a pat on the back. Maybe you go a whole year or 2 years before you're feeling really awkward and anxious about asking for what you deserve, which is a raise, right? Or trying to get time off, trying to get paid time off or whatever it is. And we feel like we're a slave to our environment. And the only thing that we think that we can do is to self-medicate. And that happens to be part of this culture, and not just this culture in this time and this place in 2021, but going back a decade, 2 decades, 100 decades. Anything that we could do to try to make our internal environment feel better is something that we want to do. We do it with a variety of different things like coffee or alcohol, or even if it's something good, like going to the gym, right? We always want to try to feel better. And is there anything wrong with feeling better? No, there isn't. But there definitely is something wrong with using something repeatedly and consistently to try to feel better. Because what happens? What happens when that dopamine is done being released? We get that first buzz, we get that first high, and then all of a sudden we start crashing, and then we feel like we need to keep it going. We want to get that we want to get that little buzz back, and we try to drink some more, and we try to get that buzz going, and maybe we're successful getting a second buzz, or maybe we're just successful being drunk and hungry and dehydrated at the end of the night. What happens to you? Comment below. I know that for some people, like I've never been a big drinker. What I mean by that is, there's some people that comment below, and I'm not trying to expose your vulnerability, but this is a community and everybody has their different ways of life and how they handle alcohol and addiction. Some people have a bottle of wine a day habit. Some people have a bottle of vodka a day habit. For me, I was never really a bottle a day type of person, or when I was smoking, I was never really a pack a day person. I did definitely try my best to listen to my body, because as you may know from previous episodes, I go to the gym as often as I can. I usually go, typically, if you're watching an episode, I just got back from the gym, I showered, I ate, and if I went really hard at the gym, I took a nap, all things to try to make me feel better. And then I would approach doing an episode for you. That formula works for me. But with alcohol, we're always trying to avoid something, right? We're always trying to avoid, it's maybe coming home from work and we want to hit up happy hour. We know that when we get home, it's like, oh, we gotta rake the yard, we gotta mow the lawn, or we gotta take out the trash, or it's like, I gotta help the kids with homework, or I gotta help my partner with something, or it's like, I gotta do this, that, and the other thing. And it's like, I just got done working. The last thing I want to do is do more work. And then for alcohol, or with alcohol, we know that, well, regardless of whatever we have to do, seemingly against our will, we'll at least be able to slap that easy button, have a drink, or 2 drinks, or 3 drinks, and the consequences are either maybe we'll feel good while we're doing this thing that we don't want to do, or we'll not care anymore. We'll drink so much that we won't care, and we won't be able to depend on ourselves, and we won't be able to rely on ourselves, but also too, we just won't care. We'll drink so much that we just won't care anymore. And then it becomes this whole, oh no, I drank too much. Now I need to eat some emergency food. And now I'm just really too tired to do anything anyway. So I'm just gonna go to sleep and just forget, I'll just seize the day tomorrow. Knowing that you're gonna have to start the day tomorrow hungover. You're gonna have to start the day preparing to go to work, where you're probably underappreciated, where you're not gonna get that raise, or you haven't gotten a raise in a long time, or you haven't gotten accomplishments or accolades of recognition that you deserve. And for a lot of us, it creates this repetitive cycle of misery, knowing that the only thing, no matter how much we mow the lawn, or how nice the bushes look, or how clean our apartment is, or how clean our car is, that none of those things individually are going to give us that dopamine release that alcohol gives us. And that, I think, is why it's so hard for a lot of people to choose to get sober for even just a day, because we know that if you went to college and you got a degree, maybe you got a 2-year degree, 4-year, 6-year, 8-year, whatever it is, or certification, you got that degree, you got that certification. And with that degree or certification, you were able to go and do a job, something that separated you from not having that degree or certification. And then you got whatever job that was the first one to hire you. Maybe a lot of people, I don't think that a lot of people are very picky or selective with regard to getting the position that they want, at the company that they want, at the salary that they want. As you know, I'm a creative person. A lot of people that I know, I'm pushing 40 years old, but up until this point in my life, it's just been dead end job after dead end job after dead end job with no room for growth or no room for advancement. Even though they said there was, it was still just, I was an employee and I still had to do a job. And did that make me feel good? No. And even as a creative person, as an artist, I mean, my first job out of art school was I was working for a company as a graphic designer. And then I still knew that I had to count on myself. I still knew that I had to perform. So now I got this. Well, I didn't get the degree, but I went to school for 6 years, but I got the education that I was looking for, sort of, because I dropped out. And then I was able to do a job. And then I thought that, and I think that we think that when we get this job that we were working so hard for by studying, by going to college or university or getting a certification, whatever it is, that this thing would bring us a sense of fulfillment. And it does, just like anything else in the beginning, right? And then the details of it start to make us feel like, oh no, what have I done? Now this is something that I have to do. Here I thought it was something that I wanted to do, being a creative individual, a creative professional, or being an accountant, or being a doctor or a lawyer or a plumber or HVAC technician or whatever it is. What do you do? Comment below. And then you get that job. And unless you work for an amazing company and you work for somebody you would like, the boss is amazing and they lead by example and they're there on the floor with you, they don't tell you what to do, they do it with you. They show you how they would prefer to have it done. Maybe you work for a company that gives you stock options. Maybe you work for a company that gives you quarterly reviews or gives you the room for advancement and has great training programs to continue furthering your skills. But I think for a lot of people in this country, we're working at jobs where we don't feel appreciated and we feel like we're just doing a job that anybody else can do. And does that bring a sense of fulfillment? It doesn't. And then you have to go to work. And then you probably go to work and you show up and somebody says, hey, how's it going today? And you say the same thing. You say, living the dream, right? That was one of my least favorite things to hear people say, but I get it. When you say something, when you say stuff like that, it's just kind of like, well, I'm making enough money to continue living. I'm making enough money to continue surviving. And that's it. And that makes for a miserable existence. And I understand that. And I understand that you had goals and you had ambitions. When you were a kid, maybe you wanted to be a ballerina or a princess or a football player or the president of the United States. And now maybe you're getting to a certain age where you're crossing off dreams off of your list. One of the many benefits for me by getting sober and staying sober was also that I still wake up and I go, oh gosh, oh no, I have so much to do today. But also too, I have to ask myself, is all the stuff that I have to do, stuff that I actually wanted to do? Was this what I created for my life? Is this the path that I want to be on? And more often than not now in my personal life, I get to say yes when I answer those questions or when I ask those questions to myself. Is this how I wanted my life to be? Or at least, am I going in the direction of where I wanted my life to go? I know that for a lot of people, when they ask themselves, when you maybe ask yourself that question, the answer is probably no. Maybe you had dreams and aspirations of being in a band or being an actor or just doing something in your local community theater. Maybe you wanted to be a doctor. Maybe you wanted to be a lawyer. And for whatever reason, maybe you didn't take school seriously, or maybe you grew up in an underprivileged community and money wasn't available in your house, or scholarships weren't available in your school system to help propel you to where you wanted to be. And then so we look at the past, which is something that we can't change, and it causes us to be depressed, right? We can't change those things. We can't change what already happened. But what we can change right now is how we choose to handle this particular moment, how we choose to handle the next craving. So I'll ask you a question. How are you going to handle your next craving? Comment below. I'm very curious to know how it is that you're going to handle your next craving. How long do your cravings last? Is it something that you latch onto and that you obsess about until you finally just give in because that little voice in your head says, yeah, but you'll feel better if you just drink something? If you agree with that, comment below. I definitely have been there. I've definitely just decided to check out in the middle of the day. 11 o'clock hits and I'm just like, we're getting really close to noon, and noon is a lunch hour, and that's an acceptable time to drink because I'm an adult and I could do whatever I want. And then so there would be many days where as a self-employed person, which was, up until recently, was just being a very underemployed person. But look what I did with being underemployed. And then I would find myself going down to my local burger spot, which, God bless them, they serve a beer and a shot combo for $5.50 along with a grass-fed hamburger. I'm sorry if I'm tempting you right now or causing you to have a craving, but that's not the point. The point was that I was definitely spending a lot of times and a lot of days with nothing to look forward to. I literally had nothing to look forward to. I have lots of goals and I have lots of ambitions for what it is that I want to do with my life. There are a lot of things, like when you think about like what your potential is, or with people around you in your life and they talk about what your potential may be. When you had those teachers that made school actually fun to be at. You actually had a great learning environment. For some people, they don't even have that. For a lot of teachers, for a lot of schools, a lot of teachers are just overworked and underpaid. And then they're churning out students to become workers who are then overworked and underpaid. And I understand that you're going through life and you're just wanting to feel better. You're just wanting to escape for a little while, but you know that it's only for a little while. You know that the ambitions that you have and the goals that you have set for yourself aren't gonna be reached. And then that makes you feel depressed. And then so you reach for the bottle and you drink again and you get the little pep in your step and you're like, oh, fuck it. Let me go mow the lawn. Let me go put a load of laundry in. And at least it's not so bad. Let me tend to my family life, and at least I got a little bit of buzz if nothing else. And I'll just drink myself until I'm tired and I don't care anymore. And then I'll check out for the night. And at least I'll get myself so zoned out and so drunk that I just won't care anymore. And for those of you that are still struggling with just being sober for one day, know that it is a journey. It is all practice, and you have to be patient with yourself. When I talk about the 3 Ps in a previous episode, preparation, practice, and patience. Those are all 3 things that you need to have a successful launch to your journey. Will there be a temptation down the road? Will there be a wedding toast? And you think like, well, maybe a little glass of champagne's not gonna be a big deal. Then you have a glass of champagne, and then you're having another glass of champagne, and then it's an open bar. So why not just have a whole? God, just give me the bottle. I'll just take the whole bottle. Here, you slap the bartender $20. They don't care. You just gave them $20. Here, take another bottle with you. They don't care. Is that gonna happen? Yeah. Is there gonna be a death in the family or in your community? Yeah, it's gonna happen. Is there gonna be a celebration? Is there gonna be a promotion? Yeah, maybe not for you, maybe not for me. But somebody's gonna be celebrating. Somebody's gonna have a reason to go out after happy hour because all of your coworkers are probably also miserable. I was just thinking about the other day, before one of the last things I was thinking about before I went to bed the other day, I worked for a photography studio. So you've all been students, and I was doing school portrait photography. So for one of the largest photo studios here in Northeast Ohio. And which I won't mention by name, but regardless, if you've been a student and you had to sit there in front of your backdrop and you choose your color and you choose your portrait, like when I was growing up, like we really didn't have a whole bunch of extra money. I always kind of just knew that we would get like the basic, super basic package. We get like 4 wallets We get like 2 5x7s and an 8x10, like the most basic package. And I'd see like some of the other kids. Like I started out in a really affluent community, and I would see the other kids. They were getting like these $52 packages, and they get like the buttons and all this stuff, and they get like the banner, and they get like the cutout for, which is kind of creepy. You know, like cut out of your kid if they were in a sports team or whatever. And then here I've got like the very basic package. But we didn't have a big family, which is also part of why we didn't have the big package. But that was my job. I was one of those photographers. So if you were sat down with one of those photographers and you were like, boy, this is awkward, and they're like, oh, they come over and like they adjust your buttons and whatever in your collar. I was one of those people. And I was darn good at it. If you think I'm doing good at this channel, you should see how comfortable I made people in front of a camera. And I still do to this day, which is something I take pride in. But in that particular job, I was thinking about the other day before bed, I was thinking about that everybody was just miserable. And it's like, I've got these talented people. We had all these very talented people, some who actually were photographers doing freelance and had their own businesses. But like a lot of people were just miserable at the end of the day. It's like part of like what I love about kids. I love kids. I don't have any kids of my own. I was a stepdad for 8 years. But one thing I love about kids is just that they don't have that chip on their shoulder. They still believe that their future is bright. They still believe that they could be a scientist, or they could be a football player, or they can be a president or a ballerina or a princess. And they're still full of hope and still full of life. And they definitely aren't waking up hungover. But kids definitely come from different environments. They come from different households. Whether the kids are coming to school with a brand new Trapper Keeper, or if they're coming to school and their lunch box isn't a box and it's just a grocery store bag. Kids are coming from all different walks of life, but kids are still innocent and kids are still pure. And I loved doing that job, but I was surrounded by miserable people. And even though even when I was going to the bar, I was talking to my friends the other day about whenever I would go to the bar. Of course, we're all different, and alcohol affects us all differently. But I remember, what I was saying the other day was that when I go to the bar, I always made it a point to never make any of my problems anybody else's problems. I would never be the one who would go to the bar to seek out therapy or to find a shoulder to cry on. At best, I would try to, if I had the energy to do it, because remember, I'm there to play pool. If I had the energy to do it, I would lend the ear. I would lend advice if anybody asked for advice, or I would just listen, which is what I try to do with you in the comment section. So I definitely appreciate you commenting below and telling me about your story and telling me about your journey. And it doesn't matter. I always tell you, there's no limit. If it helps you, please, if it helps you to get through your day, comment below. If an hour from now you're like, oh man, I just commented on 3 of Jay's videos. I'm not really sure how much is too, I don't want to see it. It doesn't matter. My expectations are that I would hope that you would want to get better. That's the only expectation that I have. It's not that you get better. It's that you want to get better. Then you will get better on your own time and in your own time. And I'm proud of your journey. And you should be proud of your journey. You should be proud that you're here, that you're hopefully binge watching all these episodes, and that you're finding this content relatable. And that also too, whether you are approaching a middle age like me, or maybe if you're in your early 20s, I should have said like me after that part. Or if you're in your 60s or your 50s, or even if you're in your 70s, you have different life experience. So that's why I always tell you, it's really important that you comment below, because not everybody relates to being an Asian dude with long hair, but they might relate to you being a mother of 2 or 3 kids. They might relate to you being in your 60s and watching some of your friends pass away over the years from alcoholism. They might relate to you being 22 and starting drinking when you were 14 and not really knowing what to do about it. So no matter what it is about your day-to-day routine, no matter what it is about the task that you feel like you have to do and there's no reward out of it, you can also ask yourself, here's a little bit of advice I'll give you, is ask yourself, but if I do this, will my life be even just a little bit better? If I just do the laundry, will it be something that I did instead of drinking? If the answer is yes, you just got a point. If it's, I really don't feel like making the bed. But if you know that it's gonna add as one of the very first things that you can do in a day to start building positive momentum, make the bed. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to photograph it for Better Home magazine. Just make the bed. So you think okay, I just got a point. I just did something other than drinking. Waking up and chugging 16 ounces of water, give yourself a point. You just did something other than drinking alcohol. You just got 2 points momentum. just building up momentum throughout the day and giving yourself the space between you and alcohol and between you and those cravings. I understand that you've done everything, probably drunk. There's probably nothing that you haven't done drunk. Maybe, except for maybe go to church, but you probably also, maybe you went on St. Patty's Day and you were hammered. I don't know, but there wasn't a lot of things that I didn't do when I was intoxicated one way or another. And then it even kind of becomes a game. It's like once, you've heard so many times like, oh, don't drink and drive. Like, I'm willing to bet that a lot of you drank and drove, which you don't have to comment below, but statistics and being at the bar all the time and knowing that my friends drove there and they're driving themselves home, it's not exactly exclusive company. So with that, I wish you good luck on your journey and I will see you in the next video.